Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Victor with the Insta 360 export camera, which is a two versions upgrade from my last camera. So the sound is theoretically better on this. Let me know. I got this from Hiko Simon because he bought the X5, so I bought his old X4 because I can't afford the X5. The X5 is like 90,000 yen. And as some of you know who've been watching this channel, my wife quit her job in November. So I am under a little bit of pressure to make some money. So I thought one way to do that was to bring my YouTube channels back, which have been kind of a little bit slow since the kids were born about 10 years ago, but they're getting bigger now. So yesterday, my son surprised me when he came up to the room. And he said, "Hey, Dad, can I play video?" All in English. He said, "Dad, can I play video games? I've done everything that I have to do," which is a sentence pattern he's never used before. And I was like, "What?" I said, "Where'd you learn that?" And he said, "ChatGPT." So apparently he was, but I mean, you might think, oh, he cheated. Well, yes and no. I mean, what he did was he asked ChatGPT how to say that expression. We're going to cross the red light. This is called the green, Victor's green. And then we're going to go into back street. This is a little back street. There's a love hotel over here. Behind here called Feliz, which means happiness. And many years ago when I was single, I actually went there. Don't tell my wife. And actually, I went there with my wife. But the first floor smells of curry, which is kind of weird. And I had anyway, I kind of thought it wasn't very romantic, you know. The whole place stunk of curry. Not that curry's not, I mean, I don't know. Is that racist for me to say that curry's not romantic? Not a very romantic smell? It's probably curry, it's probably impolite to somebody. Anyway, here we go. Remember, let me know how the sound is on this thing, because although I am getting a dedicated mic, it's not arriving until later today, but I'm curious to see how the raw sound is. Okay, anyway, and this video will be 360, so you should be able to move around if you have a mouse. And if you're on the YouTube app, you should be able to move around and look at everything around me. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. Yesterday was my 18th year anniversary on YouTube. So I thought I would tell you about how I got on YouTube and how I discovered it and some inspirations and things like that. But so many years ago, 19 years ago, there was a band in Nagoya, and I was the manager. And I didn't want to be the manager. They approached me and they're like, "Because I was just a fan. I used to go to their shows all the time." And there was one. Let me see, I think the lead singer was Scottish. The bassist was Australian. The drummer was American. And the keyboardist, he was American too. And the keyboardist's Japanese was really, really good, but he was super shy. Like to the point of it being almost a handicap. Like he wasn't really much help. And they needed someone who could manage dealing with the Japanese, because none of them were really very fluent in Japanese. And they approached me and they said, "Hey, I want you to manage the band." And I'm like, "Well, basically just get them gigs and talk to people in Japanese and book venues and things like that." So I did that, and the band became progressively popular. And we actually played even Zepp Nagoya at the end, which is a huge, kind of big place. We also played the Bottom Line, which was a big venue back in the day. We made money. We did pretty well. We played events and matsuris and things, and people would hire us. Anyway, it got to the point, and I got him a homepage, and about the same time as that, I was part owner of a bar called the Red Rock and Misfits. Me and these three other foreigners. I thought we were all good friends, but make a long story short, one of the foreigners of the bar had been stealing. She was embezzling money, and she wasn't telling anyone. And she was making it look like I was doing it, and she was doing all the accounting. And because she was, a very Catholic, religious woman, no one ever suspected her. Anyway, they accused me. One of these friends were like an old friend from 10 years before, like really old friend from the 1980s. Guy I met in Peru. He came to Japan. We super old friend. The guy had been in my house for Christmas. Even he was fooled by the evidence that she planted on me. Long story short, I was so disgusted by the accusation that I quit the bar, and I said, "You guys just give me my investment back, and I'll be out of your hair. I don't want anything to do with you guys." And then about a month later, the Sushi Cabaret Club band fired me unceremoniously because they got picked up by a bigger agency, and the bigger agency said, "We want to sign you, but you got to get rid of your manager because we don't need him." And I would have been fine with that because I never initially wanted. I never initially wanted to even do that job because I was already working at the bar and managing the bar, and I was already had my English, Japanese, Spanish school. So I was pretty busy. There were some nights I would work like till 2 or 3 a.m. and then get up at 9 a.m. and go to work. I was like, I was pretty exhausted. And I was single, so I was also, having fun, had my girlfriend. I guess the woman that is now my wife. Yoko, the woman. Anyway, Yoko and I were dating then. So, look around. This is Endoji, by the way, which is this very popular old town. It's a little bit like Ostcannon, which if you come to Nagoya, Ostcannon is like the place to go. Ostcannon, you gotta go there. It's really cool. This is a little bit smaller, but old-fashioned, more traditional. Anyway, so let's go back. Let's recap, right? I left the bar because I was accused of stealing, and I was fired from the band, and they didn't do it like they said. Well, they thought I would be really upset about it, so they just locked me out of my account on the homepage that I built or organized to get built, and they said, "You're out." And I was like, "Okay." But they never, they just thought I would retaliate for some reason, but I wouldn't have. I mean, I really, at the time, those guys were like my friends, But I realized that they just thought they acted the way they would have acted. You know what I mean? Like if that had happened to them, they would have retaliated. So that's how they treated me, thinking that I would do something. Nice little shrines here. So I was out, and suddenly I had nothing to do. So I was out of the bar. I was out of the managing. And with this band, just so you guys know, we went to Fuji Rock together. I mean, we did well. We were up and coming. And since I was like, I used to be like the man around town in Nagoya, like, as in, I was single, I'm part owner of a bar, manager of the most popular band. So like, I was a stud. I was big man on campus, so to speak. This is the beautiful old-fashioned part of town. And since, what's the time here? Just a little bit of time. I'm going to go show you some back streets, just to show you. Look at these beautiful streets, huh? Someone asked me if I could bring them back. Ohayo gozaimasu. Sumimasen. Sumimasen. Seishimasu. Tiny roads back here. But you can see there's a car there, so cars do come back there. These old houses. I'm sure they're worth a fortune just because of the location. This is like a mini Kyoto. Where was I? So I was big man on campus, so I basically ostracized myself from the whole gaijin community. And I'm like, screw all these guys, so I just disappeared. And I had nothing to do at the time. And I found YouTube. Like, what is this site? Because YouTube was just appearing then. And I think YouTube had only been up for like a year or two. And mostly it was fun for like trailers and little snippets of Simpsons, you know, crap like that. And I remember I had a channel, I made a channel called Action Teacher because my school's name is Action. And I made a little channel and I uploaded a Simpsons trailer that I stole from another channel, you know. Was it the original channel? I don't remember. And then I started doing faceless videos of English lessons. I called them really, really short English lesson. Beautiful. It's beautiful here. These little restaurants here. And that's how I started on YouTube. And then I found the Western. You know, I suppose I suddenly had all this time and no friends anymore. So to socialize, I started watching vloggers. I started watching vloggers. And I found the community there, which back in the day, I mean, most of you guys won't remember, but there was a guy named Renetto and the Wine Cone, and there was Roger the Boring Dispatcher, and there was this whole underground trolling gang led by a guy named Mike Skihan. And it was a wild, wild west. And I started getting into that, and I became, I guess the guy who first inspired me to get on was a guy named, well, Renetta was a big inspiration too, but the guy that I first made my first video response to was a guy named Roger the Boring Dispatcher, and I'll put a link in the description so you can see it. And he was this overweight guy in California. Oh yeah, there was a guy named Crossmack too. He was crazy. He tried to justify children who wanted to have sex with adults. He goes, you know, some of them are choosing to do that, things like that. There was always Perez Hilton. That was before he became big. Anyway, yeah, Roger the Boring Dispatcher. I made a video response to him. He had a kind of running joke there because he was fat. He's like, "Don't talk about the donuts." Oh yeah, that's what it was. Crossmack. Crossback was the guy who smoked pot all the time. Let's say, you can't talk about smoking pot unless you smoke pot. So he made a joke video saying, he was a comedian basically. You can't talk about donuts unless you eat the donuts. So finally got the nerve to put myself on camera, and I made a video showing myself eating a donut. And I said, "Can I talk to you now, Roger?" And Roger and I became friends. We would Skype and talk quite often, like, I don't want to say every day, it's a long time ago, but quite often. It was pretty funny because although I'm Peruvian and a lot of people think I'm Mexican, ethnically, you know, I mean, I was raised in America. I'm culturally American. I'm not part of La Raza. You know, a lot of Hispanics are like, "Oh, we're part of the La Raza. We're part of that community." I was never part of that. I never felt part of that Hispanic community, so to speak. Nothing against it. I was just, in my high school, I was like, there's only like 3 other Hispanic kids. And we all spoke English, so none of us were really into that Hispanic lifestyle. I'm trying to cross without getting killed here. You might see me get killed. Upload this video to Reddit. Crazy effing videos. There we go. So, where was I? Anyway, I became friends with all those people. And one day, Crossmack did some video about about children, and I was like, I lost my mind. I just got on camera, like, "Are you effing crazy? You can't. That's, you know, ridiculous." And I basically called him out on it. And a lot of people liked my reaction, and I suddenly had a bunch of subs. Oh yeah, and in those days, I was also doing the Action Teacher teaching videos, and I was doing my Gimmeabreakman, and I was doing Victor in the World, right? That was when Apple Milk is one of the first J-vloggers ever. She made there was a couple guys back in the day. Sammy, a girl who lives in Hawaii now, and Apple Milk, I don't know what happened to her. She might be in New York City. and a big bearded guy, and they all spoke Japanese, and they all uploaded, you know, introduction videos of themselves speaking Japanese. So I did one too, and I started doing videos in Japanese on Victor in the World, which I don't make anymore. I was doing Gimmeabreakman videos of me interacting with the Westerners on YouTube, and I was doing teaching videos. And YouTube noticed me and said, "We want you to be a guest editor. Because, you know, you're like reaching across all cultures." So I did. I was guest editors. I picked a bunch of people out, and they were all people who were not famous yet, people who were unknown. And some of them went on to become very famous. Almost all of them closed their channels eventually, but some of them ended up being on TV. I don't remember that guy. There was one guy I helped edit his video. He was a Chinese American kid. What was his name? I can't remember anymore. But he went on to be in The Amazing Race with his dad and became pretty famous. Young kid. Even back then, it was a young man's name, and I was getting in pretty late. There we go. So anyway, that's how I got into YouTube. It was basically because I was a loser. Loser back home, LBH, right? No, yeah, you know. But, well, I mean, a couple of good things came from getting from my falling out with my friends. And that was that YouTube opened up many, many doors for me. And my wife, you know, she stuck with me. And I stuck with her. And I got a dog. I got Maggie. And yeah, a lot of good things happened. A lot of bad things happened too, you know. Friends died. The guy that I fell out with, the guy who'd been in my house, Jeff, he ended up passing away a few years later before we could officially, you know, make peace. But I still talk to his wife sometimes, and he had a kid. That's a really tragic story. I feel like I got stories about Jeff that his kid should know about because I knew him really, really well. Let's go this way. But that's the story. Not the story of my life, but that's the story of how I got on YouTube. And yesterday on Gimmeabreakman, I got an announcement, which is now the ASMR channel. I got a little notice that says, "Hey, congratulations, it's been 18 years since you started YouTube." And I was like, wow, that is a long time. And many good things have happened. There have been many people have come to my school. Calorie Mate, woman's eating Calorie Mates. Calorie Mates are little, like, fake protein vitamin bars, but they're really crap. I used to eat them too, thinking they were healthy, but they're not. Many good things, like people found me on YouTube and they contacted me, and I've been on TV because of YouTube, the haircut videos and teaching videos, and companies contacted me and hired me just for my videos. And I made a lot more money than I ever made from the bar or managing that bar. Not as much as teaching English, of course. Teaching English has paid the most. But anyway, that's those are my 18 years. And I don't regret it. I do regret kind of slacking off these last 10 years with the kids. But like I told you guys earlier, I feel like it's my responsibility to provide for the family. So I'm kind of my own worst enemy that way. I get in my own way. I could have probably kept the YouTube videos coming, kept them coming, you know, more, even though I was busy with the kids. But I prioritized working a real job, so to speak. Yeah, the other thing about YouTube is that it's still an internet job. So my wife was like, she wanted me to. Oh, look at these guys working, cleaning up the whole area. That's cool. All wearing blue hats. They're all foreigners too. Oh, they're all construction workers. Anyway, So I've lived in Japan, I think this is my 34th year maybe. Since somebody figured it out, since 1991. And I'm still pretty interested in the little differences, little things that I see every day. I still find it quite enjoyable. I think much more than if I lived in America. But my, you know, my heart is still American, so to speak. And I still worry about America and what's going on over there. It's not I was so lucky that my parents moved to America from Peru when I was a kid, because our life is just so much better in America as compared to what it would have been in Peru. My dad went to university in Peru, and then he got a scholarship in America. And he ended up doing much better than all of his friends back in Peru. And because America's, you know, the land of opportunity, and I've always felt like my father was a Horatio Alger story, living incarnate, you know. He made it. He made it. This garbage truck is waiting for me. Yeah. So that was cool. I was like, wow, we made it. They gave me a great life. My dad had a really rough life growing up. He was poor. I was raised in a pretty much I wasn't spoiled. I had to work. I never got a free. What's the cameraman over here? What's he doing? I never got a free ride or anything. But my parents did pay for tuition. What's this guy doing? Yeah. But I worked hard. And anyway, I'm grateful to be American. So now, to honestly, to see what's happening to America now, it's kind of painful. This isn't really the America that I was raised on. This is not the folklore of freedom for everyone, equal rights for everyone. You know, this feels like a betrayal. What's happening now with the new administration. You know, the other thing that, and I won't apologize for this, but I've been told on my channel before, I like you, man, just don't talk politics. And the same thing happened to me on Facebook. Like, so I would like vent on Facebook, and then an old friend, he lined me, or no, he left a message, like a big message on Facebook telling me I really shouldn't be talking about that shit too. Like, everyone wants to shut you up. You know, like when can you just be yourself? I mean, why is it wrong to be concerned about what is happening in the USA right now? And we all, I think everyone loves America, man. I mean, all of us Americans, even me who's been outside of America for so many years. It's always been, you know, my home and my heart. So naturally, when I see what's happening to America now, I'm naturally perturbed, upset, worried. There's that beautiful tree. I passed this beautiful tree the other day. It's gorgeous. I'm going to pass it again. And this time you're going to see a 360 because I'm going to let you guys see the video 360 and you can move around. But there's a beautiful tree up here. Right next to Yabaton. Yeah, Yabaton is a very famous pork place. Look at that tree. That's gorgeous, huh? There's the Yabaton pig. Here, down here is Old Canyon, which I mentioned earlier before. This is kind of a wild area. I should bring the 360 camera down here sometime so you guys can all see that. Anyway. Yeah, I'm a little early for work, so I can do this little detour. Oh, cool. And I think I'll end there, but let me know how the sound was. And yeah, and to wrap that political little note. Yeah, we all love America, even if we disagree with each other. So to tell people to shut up about it, that's not right. Let me talk. You know, if you don't want to hear it, you don't have to hear it. You don't have to agree, but you got to know that I'm saying it. You know, what I'm saying comes from a place of concern and admiration and love and hope. You know, everyone wants the best for everyone, right? It's just we all have different ideas of what that is. And some of us are quite passionate about our opinions. So, anyway, that's all I got for you now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little trip, and I hope you hope the sound was okay. Let me know in the comments. And have a great day, and have a great May. Today's May 1st. Yes, 2025. You guys take care. Peace out.